Today we are here with university scholars Lindsay and Brooklyn. Lindsay believes that Malcolm X is a hero, while Brooklyn believes that Malcolm X is a villain. So what are your thoughts on Malcolm X wanting to separate the Black community?
I believe that Malcolm X was a racist who favored segregation. He advocated to separate the different races instead of integrating the community. In that period of time, the world would have needed a leader like Martin Luther King, who encouraged integration, not segregation. Malcolm X was equally critical of the civil rights movement. He labeled Martin Luther King as a chump and other civil rights leaders stooges of the white establishment. These leaders changed the world, and he was calling them chumps.
Yeah, he had every right to want to segregate. He was a nationalist. He wanted his ethnic groups to be able to live in their own society because they were treated so poorly in their current society. His ethnic group had no power and wanted to rule themselves. There is nothing wrong with him not agreeing with these leaders that were trying to attain the same goal as him.
Why should anyone have the right to advocate segregation? He truly believed that whites were the devil. Malcolm X is why the multiracial world still does not trust Black Islam. He openly reprimanded whites for being murderers and hypocrites.
All right, let's not get too heated now. Lindsay, please explain.
He believed that everybody deserved to be treated properly. He went on a pilgrimage showing that he tried to be the best variation of himself. After his pilgrimage, he preached for unity between blacks and whites and realized that not all white people are bad.
Malcolm X shouldn't have to go on a pilgrimage to understand that white people are not the devil. Because of all the unnecessary conflict that Malcolm X created before the pilgrimage, many people in each race did not trust him. If he was not African American, his views would have been very costly to him, and people would have considered him a racist.
He was not a racist. The definition of a racist is hating a race for no reason. He hates the whites because of what happened to him as a child and how the whites treated his people. He created a movement of black nationalism as a political concept and a form of social action against oppressors. He wanted it understood that he did not want the Muslim in Islam to follow him. He wanted to have the blacks understand that their voice can matter and that they deserve more, and that the white civil rights leaders have deceived them on their true feelings about blacks.
That's a very good point, Lindsay. Do you have anything to say to that, Brooklyn?
Let's not forget about his life of crime. At age 20, he went to prison for larceny and breaking and entering. Unlike Martin Luther King, he was very militant and aggressive in his actions.
People argue that he was a criminal because of the time he spent in jail for burglary. But he was poor and the only way of surviving was criminal activity. Just because he was willing to shed some blood to get what he wants does not make him a traitor. It makes him passionate about receiving the rights he believed in.
Even if you are poor and living on the street, that does not give you the right to break and steal. Murder and violence against the innocent just because they aren't your race is no way to propel your race to equality and acceptance. Malcolm X told all of his followers, and I quote, "They should get rights by using any means." Really? Any means?
He was not going after the whites just because of his color. He was trying to separate away from them because of the way him and his people were treated. It was those years he was most influential, but people choose to ignore that so they can call him a violent racist.
You both seem very heated. I can tell that you're both very passionate about this subject. So I think it would be a good idea to start our closing statements. Why don't you go first, Brooklyn?
As there were many unacceptable things that Malcolm X did, one is as follows. He called the 1963 Civil Rights March on Washington the farce on Washington, and said he did not know why so many black people were excited about a demonstration run by whites in front of a statue of a president who has been dead for hundreds of years and who didn't like us when he was alive. Really?
He didn't like the civil rights movement, and he was correct not to. It did not address his minority group, and the blacks deserved more than that. He did not just want equal rights and integration for blacks. Malcolm X wanted rights for blacks in general. He wanted the blacks to have the same opportunities as the whites.
Hold on. Wasn't this civil rights movement all about integrating the black and the white together? Wasn't it about giving the blacks the same rights as the whites? Why wouldn't Malcolm X agree with Martin Luther King's approach instead of being violent and militant towards the majority? That's all I'm saying.
The only reason white people hated him is because he was right, and people were starting to realize that. He never gave up, and he risked his own life to stand up for what he believed in.
Well, this has been very educational and a very good argument. Has been entertaining to watch. So, even though it has been made clear that there are a lot of points showing that there has been some controversial moves made by Malcolm X, but I think it remains that he's still thought of as a hero, and that is how we will leave it today.
Obviously.
Whatever.